Hi, this is Michael Mondre, President of Lumapix. I'm going to show you some of the improvements that we've made to the AutoCollage feature in PhotoFusion. We'll start with the basics. Let's just create a collage of images on the canvas. We'll select a few images and click AutoCollage. Something you'll notice right away is that the images are now contained within a frame called the AutoCollage frame, and all images move as one group within that frame. This gives us much more flexibility. For example, I can control the size of this frame and have multiple frames on one page. Once I resize the frame, I can rearrange the images by hitting Alt-Q. To create another AutoCollage frame, I simply drag out a frame, release, and select AutoCollage frame. At this point, I can now drop images into this frame and have them automatically collaged. I can swap images between frames within an AutoCollage frame or within frames of two different AutoCollage frames. To add more images to an AutoCollage arrangement, I simply drag and drop an image or images into the green target icon that appears as I start dragging. And that automatically includes the new image into the arrangement. I can move images from one arrangement to another in a similar fashion. I simply drag and drop into the target icon. At this point, I can replace the empty frame with another image, or I can simply press Alt-Q to re-AutoCollage that frame. I can now use the standard editors, border, image, shadow, to change the look of the frames within any AutoCollage group. If I change the width, it changes the width of all the frames. The style changes them to all the frames. Color, same thing. Same with image, settings, and shadow. To make changes to an individual image within an arrangement, I must first unlock the arrangement, and now I have access to the individual images within the arrangement, and I have complete freeform control. The image is still part of the entire arrangement, but I have individual control over each image at this point. Let's look at some more details of the AutoCollage frame. I'll create a two-page spread, and let's create an AutoCollage frame on the left side. To adjust the default look of frames within an AutoCollage layout, we click the Settings button. At this point, I can decide to have an AutoCollage that has no shadows and no borders, at which point when I drop images into this frame, it will appear with no shadows and no borders. I can change this at any time by clicking the button, setting that back on, for example, and re-AutoCollaging the frames. Another quick way to create a collage is to simply take a multiple selection of images, and as you're hovering over the canvas, press Alt-Q, and it will automatically collage all the images in the dropper onto the canvas. If you like the look of a particular layout, you can remove all the photos from this layout and repopulate with other images using the auto-populate feature. This populates all the frames without changing the arrangement. If your albums have a particular look or style, you can save frame settings and AutoCollage frame settings in a similar fashion. For example, let's start with a single frame. Normally the default border color is white, so we're going to change that to black, and we're going to change the corners to rounded. And I will now save this as the default for new frames. So anytime I drop an image to the canvas, I'm going to have those same settings. Black border with rounded edges. Now I'm going to set the default settings for my AutoCollage frame. So I'll draw an AutoCollage frame, go into the settings, and specify that I want borders and shadows. I want to preserve the settings of the existing borders and shadows, and I want to save this as my default. So now, whenever I drop images to an AutoCollage frame, they will exhibit the behavior that I set for frames and for this AutoCollage frame. One more thing. To create an AutoCollage out of frames on the canvas, let's just add a few more here. All you need to do is multiple select them and press Alt-Q. And that takes those frames and then creates an AutoCollage frame within the boundaries of the selection. And that concludes this short demonstration of the improvements to the AutoCollage feature in PhotoFusion. Thank you.